We recorded our first episode outside in nature. We catch a bit of background noise, but think of it as part of the ambience. Welcome to the Fender Gender podcast.
I'm Emma, a trans man filmmaker and motorcycle lover just out here figuring shit out like the rest of us.
And I'm Maxine, your friendly neighborhood trans girl, lover of motorcycles, and part-time agent of chaos.
We're two trans folks with big feelings and bigger opinions, riding through life and talking about the shit nobody else wants to say out loud.
Every week we unpack something real: gender, grief, passing, annex, friendships, families, all of it.
This is not your clean-cut corporate podcast. It's just us. No filters, no rules, no binaries.
Let's get into it.
How was it for you, like when you figured out that you were trans?
Yeah, so for me, I moved to a different city for a year when there was the COVID pandemic going on. And it was I just had these two roommates I moved in with, and I didn't even notice for the first week that I lived there, but it turns out they were both trans women. And this was before I realized I was trans, but over the course of the year living with them, I got to know them a lot better. And then I realized that I was a lot like them in many aspects, and they were a lot like me in many aspects. And I started to transition after that. So yeah, it was weird because I kind of looked up to them as like mentors and trans elders in a sense. But like when I look back at it, they were only a few years older than me. And both of them had only been transitioning for like 2 years about that when I knew them. And now that I'm kind of in a similar place now, I've been transitioning for like almost 4 years, and I still feel like so young, and I feel so inexperienced. And now there's like these younger trans girls I meet, and I see that they look up to me in a similar way, but I don't feel like I'm like capable of being a mentor. Like I still feel so young.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like 4 years of experience is still a lot, you know? It's not like you're still new to this experience or anything like that. Everything that you learned during like those 4 years, you could still share those with those newer trans girls in the community.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's true. But even after like I'd been transitioning for like 2 years, like I'd meet people and I could tell they kind of were looking to me for like some sort of like guidance or just like as some sort of model on how to live as a trans woman. And I felt like so inadequate to do that because I was still figuring my shit out. And honestly, like looking back like 2 years ago, like I was doing so many things differently than how I do it today. Like I feel like every year I'm learning so much about how to like do this whole thing.
Yeah, and that's where the experience part, like that's where it comes in, you know? Like stuff that you were doing 2 years ago, you've learned how to improve that and do them differently 2 years like later. So I feel like 4 years is a lot of experience. I feel like also based on what you said, you might be looking for a mentor or someone who's been transitioning for 30 years, 40 years and stuff. And yeah, I do understand how it is hard to find. Maybe those people, they're not comfortable putting themselves out there yet. But I do agree though that we need more trans elder people who have been transitioning for like 30, like 40 years, sharing their wisdom and tips with us. I've seen like 1 or 2 creators on TikTok or even on Instagram that share those tips. But I do agree that we do need more of that.
Yeah. Like, I guess what I've been thinking about, and it's kind of heavy, is like how I've met so few trans people who are like older, but also have been transitioning for like a long time. And they have kind of an experience of like the different decades as you transition, how that looks and like how you cope with that and like age in a way that's like makes sense for you, I guess. I don't know. Like I've probably met like less than 3 trans people who are like in their 40s or older and have been transitioning for a long time. I've met a few people who are older and either just recently started transitioning or they're still kind of figuring their shit out.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting dynamic because like I've met people who are like in their 40s, right? And they're kind of figuring out their gender identity in ways that like I was figuring out like a few years ago. And it's like, in one sense, they're like a mentor for me because they've lived so much longer and they've experienced like what life is like. But in another sense, it's almost like they're looking up to me because I've been figuring out shit in a way that's a little earlier than them. I guess it's hard to find mentors in the trans community because like people, I feel like a lot of people, if they do transition when they're younger or like they've been transitioning for a long time, they get really tired of like all the bullshit and they just like go deep into stealth and they just kind of fit into society and like either don't really engage with the trans community or like they just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, I do understand that part, like that perspective that when someone they're just like tired of the bullshit and now they're passing and now they're just stealth. They just like don't really engage, and I resonate with that because like now that I'm passing, I think I'm pretty stealth. People or cis people in general are just comfortable coming and having these wild conversations with me, not knowing that I'm trans and just saying that trans women don't belong in sport or like trans men are not as strong as like cis men. They're just comfortable having those conversations with me, and
they don't really know you're trans.
Exactly. I find myself in like, do I stay stealth and agree with them, or do I put my stance out there? And pretty much what I've been doing is telling them how I feel, like without even telling them, hey, I'm a trans man, putting my experience out there. I don't.
Yeah.
I just tell them I believe that trans women should be in sports. I believe that trans men can be as strong as a cis man.
Yeah.
I just like tell them how I feel, and they don't need to know that I'm trans. I think like it's a matter of, it's okay to be stealth. If that's what works for you, that's completely okay. But when you are interacting with cis people, if you just go along with the bullshit and don't call them out and like tell them, put your stance out there where you stand on those issues, I feel like that's where the problem lies, and you become part of the problem.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like a dilemma really that you have that comes up, and I don't know. Like I feel like it's hard. It's something that like I feel like I would try and be like have a strong stance about, but it's hard for me to judge also because like a lot of people, like everyone's situation's a bit different. And a lot of people are in environments where like if they got outed as trans, like it could be really dangerous for them.
Yeah.
And like in that case, like I feel like there's such a huge dilemma about like even maybe like advocating for trans rights could put them in a tricky
I understand that, and I
situation.
think like it's also a matter of safety. If you feel unsafe, absolutely walk away, don't engage. But let's say if it's with your friends, somewhere you feel safe, or people you call friends and stuff, and they're having those conversations, it's either you walk away because you feel it's not a safe environment, or you speak up.
Also, I feel like the conversation about trans elders is kind of a little heavy in some aspects because like looking back to the AIDS crisis took so many trans people from the world, and like I guess back in the day too, like there wasn't as strong of a distinction between someone who's like a cis gay and someone who's trans. So probably a lot of the people who died in the AIDS crisis, like these days, we would probably think of them as trans.
Yeah. I do think that there are a lot of trans elders out there. I wish that I could meet one.
Yeah, I would like to meet more.
Yeah, and have like those type of conversations about how it was back in the days. Of course, there are resources we can learn a lot, or there are even documentaries and stuff out there. But I feel like it would be so much more nicer to just have a conversation with someone who's gone through the same things that I've gone through, but in a different time.
Yeah, it's not the same to like read something like than having a conversation with someone.
Exactly.
And like being able to actually like share experiences with each other. Yeah. Or like watching videos by like people who are like, I've seen some videos on TikTok, YouTube by people who are like older trans people who have been transitioning for decades, and they share their experiences, and I'm like feeling like, oh, I wish I like knew people like this. Like I wish I had people in my community I could talk to.
Yeah, me personally, with my transition and stuff, it's been only me. You know, I've been figuring out on my own. Would it have been nice to have trans elder getting me through it, giving me tips and stuff, yeah, that would have been amazing. And it's really up to people. If you feel like you need that guidance, I think you should seek it from someone like who's also gone through the same transition as you, like a trans man or like a trans woman. But if you feel like you got this shit, like you can do it on your own, like power to you, because it's basically what I've done. I figured out that I was trans, and then went ahead and was like, well, I think I should get top surgery. I should do this. I should do that. And then here I am. I don't think I necessarily want a mentor. I wouldn't mind someone, newly trans person, talking to me and asking me questions, mentoring them, giving them tips. Personally, I don't think that I need it.
Yeah. And also too, like, not every trans person who's older is necessarily like, I feel like the terms like mentor and elder are like, you need to have a certain kind of attitude too. Like, you can just be trans and older, but if you're, mean and spiteful and you're not kind to the people who are just younger or just figuring it out, like, yeah, I don't know if you really deserve the term of being an elder, right?
Yeah,
like, that's kind of a term of respect. And
also, just because someone is trans doesn't mean that they're necessarily like a good person.
Also, people's experiences are so different. So like, I've met a few people who have been transitioning for like decades, but actually all of them are trans guys. But it's really heartfelt. Like, we'll have, like, I feel like there's kind of like a acknowledgement between us, and there's like that kind of shared, and it doesn't even need to be something we talk about, just like in a look. But at the same time, like, our experiences are pretty different, and even among trans women, like, a lot of trans women just have very different experiences than me. And it's like, part of that too, I guess, is because that within transition, everybody's experiences are so different. Back on the trans elder thing is like, I don't know, like, let's say you're doing a martial art like karate, and you meet somebody who's been doing karate for 2 years. Like, in no world could they ever be considered an expert on the topic, right? Or they're barely past beginner at that point. So like, I feel like it's because like, the world is very tough on when you're trans. People are pretty mean to you a lot of the time, and a lot of people are very judgmental, right? And like, because of that, a lot of people, when they start passing, they kind of just go stealth, or they die, right? Or they go back in the closet, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like so hard to find people who have been both transitioning for a long time, but also are willing to keep on engaging with the trans community and keep putting themselves out there, and like pretty much like outing themselves in order to like build more connections with other trans people. Because like, something I've noticed too is that when I've made more friends with trans people, like, there's just a lot of trauma in the community. Sometimes it even gets overwhelming, and I'll like go hang out with one of my friends who's like cis and stuff, and we'll just talk about like, oh, what are we doing for work? Like, we'll go on a walk with their dog. We'll just talk about pretty like boring shit. And like, it's almost like a bit of a relief, because like, I'll hang out with my trans friends and they're like, oh yeah, like, this guy was saying horrible things to me on Grindr last night, or like, or like, oh, like, I'm really broke and I'm gonna have to move back to my parents' house and they're transphobic. And there's just like a lot of these pretty tough topics, and it's just like all the time. And I think a lot of people get tired of that, actually, and they just kind of fit in. They find a friend group that's mostly people who aren't trans, and they just kind of live their life that way. And it's because like, I think it's because of that, but also because there's so many varied experiences that it's like, there's not a lot of cohesive, like, intergenerational community. Like, it's mostly, I feel like, people who are like the same generation mentoring people who are like maybe 2 years younger than them, which is kind of strange if I think about it. Like, it's a little weird, because like, in most other aspects of like learning and experience, like, I feel like for someone to be considered like actually knowledgeable on the topic, it's like they should be doing that for like decades, like a long time, like have really varied,
Yeah, I get that. And that's why, to bring up the trans panic, a lot of people think, I mean, most cis people think that there is like a trans takeover. It's like trans the trans. everywhere, and there aren't that many of us.
No, there's really no.
I can count on my fingers the amount of trans men that I've met.
Yeah.
And I have no other trans friends other than you.
Yeah.
You're the only trans friend.
I feel like people get the impression that there's more and more trans people these days because, for one, there's like a disproportionate media thing, and like it also is kind of asymmetrical too, because there's all of this fear mongering about trans women, and then a lot of people still don't even know that trans men exist because there's not a lot of media about trans men. And it's like, on one hand, there's not a lot of media about trans men, but then there's media about trans women, but it's overwhelmingly negative and just stereotypes. So it's like, there's not really a lot of just like actual media out there that just shows what like normal shit, you know?
Yeah. Like I've seen online that like a trans man posted a video about them like being trans, and someone commented, "You'll never be a woman."
I hope.
Yeah, and it's like so affirming. It's like, okay, thank you. It's just like how people, they don't have the proper knowledge. They think every time someone hears trans, they automatically think trans woman. It's like trans men exist too. Like we are here.
Yeah, probably in approximately equal numbers. I would suppose. I mean, there's no data about that, so who knows? But like,
I don't know. I mean,
in my personal experience, I've met a similar amount of trans women and trans men in my personal experience. But oh my gosh, I had this. This is kind of random, but I went a few years ago.
We love random.
A few years ago, I would take the bus to school all the time, and at the bus stop I went to, there was this homeless guy who was always there, and I would talk to him. We'd talk about our lives and stuff. He had a PhD in psychology, so he was always trying to psychoanalyze me, and I thought it was funny. So I would always, I don't know, he was fun to talk to. And then I stopped going to school, so I stopped taking that bus route. I didn't see him. And then one day I was going to shopping at Winners, and I saw him outside the store, and I went to talk to him, and I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And he was like, "Oh, it's you." And I was like, "Yeah." And I don't know how the conversation got here, but he told me I was trans, and I was like, "Yes, I am." And then he asked me if I was MTF or FTM, and I thought it was really funny that he didn't know.
You can't tell.
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, you can't tell? That's funny." I said, "What do you think?" And he said FTM, and I was like, "No, I'm MTF." And then he told me about how he dated in the past this trans guy. And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Then I gave him my lighter and $20, and I was like, "I hope you have a good day. Peace."
And you've never seen him before? Again, I mean,
I haven't seen him since. I don't really know what he's up to. I hope I see him again. That'd be fun. Yeah. But it's funny because, like, I don't know, like, it's sometimes I forget that, like, it's such a niche, like, thing. A lot of cis people don't really know what's going on. They just, I feel like a lot of people see me and they just kind of like see that I'm a little androgynous, and they're like, "What's going on there?"
I used to get that a lot in the beginning of my transition. People would just be like, "I don't know, I can't tell." So I'll just call you they, them.
Oh, people do that a lot to me. Yeah.
I feel like it's the safe route.
Yeah,
they're just like playing it safe. You could just come up to me and ask me, "What are your pronouns?" I'll be like, "He, him." That's it. And we're done.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I feel like what can be annoying sometimes is people think that I'm gonna, like, I feel like the media presents it that if you get someone's pronouns wrong, they'll get like really offended. They'll like freak out and beat you up and jump you.
That's not the case at all. I get she'd like, I used to get she'd a lot. Like it would be like she, her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I started passing more, it's more like he, him. But then I would get they, because sometimes I can't tell. Isn't it obvious? I'm a dude. You can tell by my voice.
I mean, I guess it's not always obvious, you know.
Yeah.
There are some people who like are men and they present more feminine. There's some people who are women who present
True,
more
but I feel like I
masculine.
present mask.
Yeah, but you know, it's you can't always tell. But I feel like people, I don't really mind if people can't tell. I'm like, then no, it's fine. Like I think eventually I would like it so that people just look at me and they're like, "Oh, like that's a girl over there." But
yeah,
personally, I don't really mind being androgynous that much. Like I think it's kind of, I like fucking with people a bit. That's kind of funny. Like I thought it was really funny when that dude couldn't tell like which way I transitioned. I thought that was hilarious. But like, I just wish people wouldn't like think I'm gonna get offended because like,
Yeah, I'm not at all. If you're my friend and you keep misgendering me, that's a problem.
Yeah,
like
then
we
we'll have
have
a
a
problem.
conversation.
But if it's an
If you're a
accident,
fucking
like,
stranger, I don't care. I'll just go along my way. And she, her, me all the time. Like, I don't care. I'll just go home and mind my fucking business.
yeah, exactly.
Like the other day on Canada Day, I was helping a friend move,
Mhm.
and then we went to pick up the U-Haul truck.
Mhm.
And the guy there, I think he couldn't tell. I don't know why. Anyways, before fucking I don't know why. I'm just there. We went like to pick up the truck, and then I give him my license. It says M on there, sex. I was like, man.
Mhm.
And then when he comes back, he's like, is follow me, miss. And I'm like, miss? I look at my friend. I was like, did he just like talk to you? They're like, miss? Okay. And then I just follow them because it's not a fucking big deal. I know I'm not never gonna see him again. He's a stranger.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like, I just wanted the truck and I just wanted to help my friend move.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know how we ended up here.
I don't know.
Because we were talking about transality
Yeah.
and now we're talking about gendering.
Yeah, we're talking about a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, I feel like that's kind of fun, right? That's people do that in podcasts. They kind of talk about random shit. So I don't know. I guess yeah. Any more thoughts do you have on trans elders or the lack of trans elders?
I think that we, as we get older, we will be the next trans elders.
Yes.
And it's up to us to figure out like how we're gonna approach this.
Mhm.
Whether we're gonna go stealth and stay away from the community, or we're gonna stay in the community and help the upcoming like trans people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's really, I don't know, I feel like it's so necessary because like, you ever go on the internet and you go in like the trans internet bubbles, like you see people saying this stupidest shit really about trans stuff. Like, people have these opinions that are, I don't know, like if they're really opinions that, I think they're opinions that most trans people that I know would find very disagreeable, or just like really like, I don't know, people are saying really strange stuff. And like, but like if you think about it, a lot of these people on the internet they're really young, right? Like a lot of the people on the trans internet, they're like, maybe they've something they've just realized recently, or maybe they're actually like legitimate teenagers and they just don't have a lot of life experience yet.
Yeah. And I also like want to point out, just because someone is trans doesn't mean that they're an expert on everything. Yeah, I identify as a trans person, but do I know everything? No, I don't. Although I'm a trans man, I don't know everything that trans men do. I've never binded. If you ask me a question about how to bind, I don't know how to do that. I never packed. If you ask me a question, what type of packer should I get? I don't know. I can't answer that at all.
Mhm.
The only thing that I know is how testosterone makes my body feel.
Mhm.
Like I know about pelvic surgery because I've had it. I know about working out. Can give you workout tips for the trans man, like how to build muscles and shit.
Mhm.
Because that's what I've done for myself. Other stuff, I have no idea whatsoever. And I know that I have a lot of room to learn, and I would be happy to learn, even if I know I wouldn't be applying those. I never felt the need to wear a binder, although I have big boobs. Never felt the need to do that. And once I figured out that I was trans, I think I had surgery within like a year or so. Like so for me, like, it was really, really quick. So I never, even if I didn't have surgery that quick, I don't think I would have minded at all, because I never saw the point. Even packing now, I haven't had bottom surgery yet. And even packing, like I don't see the need. I don't mind going to the gym and someone saying it's flat there. What are you looking down there for?
Yeah.
We're here to work out. If I'm in the men's room, I'm here to change and go do my workout. It's flat, so what? I mean, some guys have micro penises. Maybe I have a micro penis.
Yeah, you never know.
Exactly.
There's a game. We need a game show idea. Trans or micro penis.
You have so many game shows ideas. Like,
See you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
oh, it's a cricket.
Yeah.
Oh. It's getting closer.
That's it for our first episode of Fender Gender.
If this episode resonated with you, we want to hear it. You can stay anonymous. We've got a submission link in the episode notes.
And if you want to support BG Talks and help us keep the mics rolling, head over to our Patreon. Every bit helps. We'll eventually have some bonus content coming your way. Links in the description.
Next week, we're asking a spicy one. How did your friendships change after transitioning?
Subscribe, rate us, and tell your messy queer cousin to listen.
We'll see you next time.